Welcome to This Week on the 6873 show. Today we'll be touching on a little bit of a touchy subject. We're actually going to be doing more into things like this, but we are going to be talking about suicide and suicide prevention this week. It's been something that's been going around quite a lot. We've actually been studying some of the statistics. It is a world pandemic. The number one killer in the entire world, according to the World Health Organization, is heart disease. Just underneath that is suicide. So we're going to be exploring a little bit more of this. Anyway, my name is Captain Wren. The other hosts of the show are...
Hi, I'm Rossi, and we also have...
Ion. And over here...
Tucky, as always, and today we're joined by Zelda and Healed. As Ren said, yes, we are gonna go outside of the VR, still in here, but in here it's just as real as in real life. Suicide, like Ren said, is a pandemic. You might have someone that you know about has had suicidal thoughts, or a friend of a friend, but somehow, some way, it always finds its way to you or your close ones. And we are going to leave some information in the description below of hotlines that you can contact if you have suicidal thoughts or you know of somebody. This is going to count for the US, England, and Denmark. We're each in our the numbers we have and such, where you can contact people that know how to deal with this kind of situations. So please don't hide. Just tell someone. That's the first step.
Well, it's
That
kind of something
and
too because...
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
And if you are on VR chat, and people that know us, they can come talk to us, to me and Toby. Like, honestly, if you know us, come right to us. We will talk. We will help.
Yes. Any of us.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Except for Healed.
Why?
We'll just
Don't
single
worry,
you
Boo.
out.
I got you covered. I got you covered, Boo. I got you.
Well, it's something too because especially we're going to the holiday seasons, and sadly enough, holiday seasons is when suicides actually skyrocket. Especially the number one holiday that suicides happen is actually over Christmas. More people die over during the Christmas season than pretty much any other day of the week. But I think every one of us here has known someone who has at least talked about it or has actually attempted it.
Yes.
So yeah, it's like I was looking at the statistics. According to World Health Organization, every 11 seconds, someone in the world has committed suicide, and in the U.S. alone, every 11 minutes in the U.S. someone has committed suicide. So by the time the show is over, there will be at least 5 to 6 people who have taken their own lives by the time this show is over.
Actually, here in Denmark, it says, I have some notes, so I'm sorry if I look like I'm not. But actually here, for each suicide or suicide attempt, it kind of like involves like 6 people, like it connects to 6 people that get affected of this. And it actually means that, like friends or family, it actually means that it's roughly 30,000 a year that gets into all of this because somebody dies. Then the family or friends, or like, if you can say, suffering, because there are the ones that live behind. But just that statistic, like, and here with every 5th suicide, it's actually between a 10 to 24-year-old. Every 5th. And I think that's here. That suicide is the second, like, cause of death between as young as 10 to 24-year-olds.
And the sad thing is, those statistics almost mirror what's happening here in the States, also.
Yeah,
Almost exactly.
Mm.
it's scary. Like sometimes you hear about people like you see in the news or this like famous person committed suicide,
Mhm. Mhm.
like world famous Robbie Williams.
Yep.
Like everybody saw his happy attitude, and he was always like making people laugh and stuff. To all of a sudden one day he was gone.
Gone.
Yeah.
Well, it's
I
something
remember
too,
But
the
as
exact
because
day he did it. I remember the
Yep.
exact day, exact time because it was on my 11th birthday.
Oh man.
Mm.
A man
I
who
will
inspired me
say,
to be who I am today.
yeah,
Mhm.
Fight the sadness, help the others. But sometimes you
the
have
thing,
to
Yeah.
break it and tell others what's wrong.
Mhm.
exactly, because
Well,
it's the whole it's the
Mhm.
whole mask thing. Like you get so used to just hiding it and pretend, and yeah, you put on a mask and you're somebody entirely different. And people
Yeah.
are like, "Oh, you're a happy person. Oh, wow, and you're just fun to be around." And all of a sudden, when your whole demeanor changed, they don't recognize you anymore. And
Yeah. It's the facade.
yeah,
And most people
Yeah.
who
So.
are happy-go-lucky like that, unfortunately, are the ones wearing the largest mask. It was
Yeah.
actually a statistic that most comedians are actually do suffer from some form of depression. That's actually what
Yes.
fuels their comedy, is they can see the things from a different thing and make people laugh, because it's a coping mechanism for them. It just helps other people.
yeah,
But the thing is with a lot of the suicides, I mean, most of the suicides, at least here in the States, a lot of them are depression related, but so many of them are things like, because the stress levels in the States and stuff like that and is climbing. You have
yeah,
stress levels, you have failed relationships, you have all this other stuff, you have spousal abuse, and non-physical spousal abuse is one of the number one causes here in the States too, between married couples.
yeah,
It's not because it used to be depression. It's always suicide was just because of people suffering from depression. It's not. It's actually maybe a quarter of the demographic now from
And
all these other
mental
things that are happening.
illness.
it's not just
Mhm.
here
Yeah,
specifically, like it's not just out here in the real world, because when I used to work in the prison myself, there used to
Mhm.
be a whole bunch of suicide in there due to people losing their family members, losing
mm,
not being able to see their kids,
Mm.
like holidays rolling around, not being able to see them, just all that kind of stuff. Just it's sad to see because I experience it firsthand, especially when they're literally they're talking to you. Like one minute they're talking to you and they seem fine, and the next minute you walk
yeah,
by and they're just gone. They're no longer
Mhm.
there.
Yeah.
exactly. I will say that statistics and such from Japan or Asia in general are scary. I mean, if
Yes.
you take Japan and all of this, everybody have heard of the suicide stories.
Yeah.
It's actually a requirement that you study the rules of like what you need to leave behind, what kind of information you need to give. If you're in doubt,
Mhm.
leave like take a tent with you, stay overnight and
Mm.
gather your thoughts. There are
Yeah.
patrols in there to find people who had either killed themselves or actually just put a tent up for the night and like get them help.
Mm. Yeah.
And in South Korea, it's oh my god. I
Mhm.
will say that's mostly girls,
Mhm.
but that's when it comes to a certain kind of industry.
Mhm.
A lot if a girl has been like abused or something like that, she is the one looking bad in the media, not the
Yep.
guy who
Mm.
did it. I'm not saying
Yeah.
it's an that is like, yeah. But that's actually what happens most of the times there. Like where it's hard to explain. I just witnessed it a lot when I was there. Like people telling, "Oh, it's just another suicide victim." I'm like, just another.
Well, they
I
don't
mean,
understand too that
Mm.
causes a ripple effect. When someone takes their own life, there's always a saying, "Oh, well, people will be better off without me," but they don't understand what kind of a hole that creates when they're gone. And there's also kind of a ripple effect too, because this person committed suicide, he's not here anymore, and you have these other people, it's like that are contemplating that. It's like, oh well, he did it, I should too.
Sorry.
It's almost an excuse.
yeah. People get
Oh, hold on. One sec. Sorry.
the wonders of VR.
Mm.
Yeah,
All right.
I will say, and I'm gonna sound like a dick
Sorry.
when I say this. I don't agree with suicide,
Mm-mm.
mainly because
No.
the people you leave behind. And sometimes
Yeah,
I
but-
think it could be a dick move, but I understand how you can come to that entire mindset of
I get
it's better if I'm not here anymore. I have suffered too much.
Mm.
I understand that, but I also understand how it might be to be the one left behind.
Mm.
Because I have
Well,
experienced
I
it with
think-
some of my
I
friends.
think, like you say, it can depend on the situation. If it's
Exactly.
you've got the when it comes to suicide through mental health,
Mhm.
I don't agree with it because it's that pain and suffering you're leaving behind to the ones around you that care for you and things like that.
Yeah.
But then you go on to the side of things where it's things like if someone is dying of cancer
Yes.
and
Mhm.
they're going to die, so it's euthanasia, I think they call it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Is that one I can
Suicide.
I can
assisted
get on
Yeah.
suicide.
if you know what I mean, I can get on board with that. But
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
honestly, I can
yeah,
too.
Yeah.
To stop the pain when you know they're gonna die anyway, and you're just
Yeah.
you're negating the
Some-
suffering.
Some
But
places are contemplating on legalizing assisted suicide for those that are terminally ill and do have aggressive forms of cancer and know they
Mhm.
won't
Yeah.
survive.
Mhm.
Also, another thing I forgot to mention about working at the prison, when you first join and you go through the academy and stuff, they train you on suicide prevention. Like they tell
Mhm.
you that if an inmate is telling you that they want to kill themselves, if they're sitting there cutting, or if they're sitting there getting ready to hang themselves, you have to stand by that cell specifically in order to keep an eye on them and make sure they're not doing anything to harm themselves, and also make
Yeah.
sure that they're still not cutting, because if they're cutting, we have to spray, pretty much pepper spray, or what we call it, chemical agents, and it's to get them to stop cutting themselves with the razor. And we still have to sit there and wait for adequate staff in order to go inside that cell and save that offender's life.
Mhm.
Yeah, I can imagine a whole program, like it's just snowballing you procedures and stuff like that. You just have to, yeah. I mean, that's a controlled situation. I know it can
Mhm.
still happen
Yeah.
under the watch of prison guards and stuff like that,
Mhm.
but at least that's a controlled environment. Like even if
Mhm.
people get hospitalized, it's a controlled environment. But I
Mm.
will also say that if people really want to end it, they will always find a way.
Always find a way.
There are just
The thing
people
is-
out there you can't
Of course.
stop, but still.
I mean, it's like you were saying too. I understand the mindset because I've gone through a lot of bad stuff. The way I was raised, the stuff, I've gone through a lot of bad times. I haven't really known a lot of happy times in my life. And, there's been a lot of times when I've gone to the deepest part of depression and stuff like that. And I understand the mindset of wanting to end the pain, you know, but
Yeah.
it's still something that, because I don't know if you've heard of this one story about a man. He lives in Yellowstone Park. His name is Yogi Bear. And he was a person who, you know, he had a wife and kids, but he lost his job, had a $1,300 debt, lost his car and stuff like that. And he was still married, had 2 kids. And he said he just couldn't do it anymore. He just couldn't do it anymore. So he bought a camping tent, hitchhiked to Yellowstone Park. His plan was to go on one of the big mountains there, spend the night, and in the morning jump off the cliff. And he just, for a lot of things that you'd think would be quite trivial, in a lot of different ways, it's something you could be easily bounced back from, or you could just work the problem. But it was enough for him. This is a person who didn't suffer from depression or anything like that. It's just the situation got him beat down to the point that the only way he could see was to leave his family and to basically take a one-way trip. And it was a good thing in some ways, because he went up in the one of the tall mountains there, and in the morning he opened up this tent and he was just flabbergasted by the beauty of the park. And he just spent the whole day just walking around, just amazed by the beauty and the peace he felt being in this park. And that was many, many, many years ago. And he basically dedicated his life from that point on to being a mountain man. He literally lives out of a backpack and stuff like that. But just took that small bit of beauty to make him realize, hey, it's not as bad as you think it is. I mean, small little itty bitty things can get snowball very, very fast.
Yeah.
But it just takes that
takes a
moment.
grain of salt takes a grain of salt to tip the scale, but it can also take a grain of salt to come to the realization.
And then when you keep packing more on it.
Basically whittles you away with bug bites.
I was wondering if any of you guys have any stories on the subject that you would like to share. It doesn't have to be too personal. It could also just be an advice or anything like that.
Anything I would say advice-wise.
This is going to be kind of hard to get out because this is my own personal story. So I had lived, as all y'all know, but not y'all. I have lived a pretty crappy life for most of my life, and I've had decisions led up to that point to where I've myself wanted to kill myself. Like I myself wanted to just down pills and just sleep forever, and I did it, and I ended up going to work the next day completely fine, but having to go to the mental hospital the next day because of just not being okay. And even though I had gone to a mental hospital and everything, I still felt bad in a whole bunch of different ways because they had gave me pills to make me try to feel better, and all they did was just make me feel high, and that's not what I wanted. That's not what I wanted to feel. I just wanted to feel better. But over the years, I still have thoughts of killing myself, especially when I go through very, very hard times, and but I get over it because I have these guys to talk to or other friends that are near me to talk to.
Yeah. It takes a
It's
lot to
like-
just have that one friend.
Yeah, it
Mm.
does.
Most of
You
the time
just-
too is
I've-
just. Oh, go ahead.
I've suffered at the hands of abuse most of my life. My old man abused my sisters, and they in turn abused me to get back at him. I was beaten. But then throughout everything, throughout the crash of 08, where you all struggled financially, even to this day, I still feel a burden to my family. I was 13 when I tried to end my own life. I took my belt and I
only
tried to
moved
hang
for
myself.
just a second. I'm sorry.
It's fine.
Continue.
Even to this day, I still get nightmares. But I've tried ending my life about on 3 to 5 occasions. But then on the final attempt, it just hit me. Who's going to look after the kids? Who's going to spoil them? Who's going to treat them? Who's going to pick up my mother when she falls over? Who's going to be there to keep my grandfather company?
I'm sorry. I'm gonna put my stuff down. I'm sorry.
It's fine. But I'm just
trying to move stuff, and I'm trying to like readjust myself so my back doesn't hurt. I'm so sorry.
it's like ever since 2008, my whole life has just been surrounded by grief and loss. 2008, I lose my grandmother. 2009, I lose my sister. 2011, I lose one of my dearest friends. 2013, I lose my brother. And then the last kicker, 2016, I lost my grandfather. And I'm still plagued with ideas. It's like I have what they call passive suicidal ideation, where I'm not actively trying to take my life, but not a day don't go by where I don't think about it at least once. But that's why I'm glad I ran into you guys. I'm glad I came into VRC, because talking with you guys and now working with you guys, I have a reason to keep moving forward. It's like there's always a way forward. And I'm glad
And
it's
we're
with you.
here for you.
Exactly. I have never witnessed the suicide, but I have once when I was studying in a different big city. I came down to the bus stop and I noticed this girl just laying on her back. Looks like she was relaxing, like with her back on the ground. And I didn't think of it like, okay, this is something bad. I was in my 20s, early 20s. And then a couple of guys who were playing football came by and they're like noticing her as well. And then they asked me, is she okay? Because she could easily have been a friend of mine. And I said, I actually don't know. And she didn't respond. And I'm like, okay, maybe I should try and check on her. And I talked to her and she spoke back. And I said, are you okay? And she just looked at me and you can just see that empty look staring back at one. And she said, no. And then one of the guys said, have you taken something? And she said, yes. And I said immediately, just call 911. Well, here, 112. And the guys did, and I tried to tend to her as much and just sit down with her and like patting her on the shoulder, saying it's gonna be okay. And then the EMS came, and
I'm sorry.
it's okay. And right when they took her into the ambulance, I heard responder asking her, "Did you take something?" And she said, "Yes." "What did you take?" And she said, "I emptied an entire glass of pills."
Oh.
The girl was 16.
Jesus.
And I never forget it. I never forget those eyes. And I don't know what happened to her. I don't know. I was wondering if I should actually had contacted that hospital I know she was going to, but I just hope she's okay. That she's still out there.
Mm,
Well, there's
I
And we
apologize.
have
It appears Iron has crashed.
he
Who did
stepped
that?
out for a minute.
We'll just take a small break.
So there was a time that I worked on a wrecker. So a lot of what we did was NHP and stuff like that. So I had unfortunately had to help recover a lot of accidents and bodies. And there was this one we were called out on. It happened at like 1 o'clock in the morning, and it was a full court press. It was bad. Me and my dad, we went up there with a couple of wreckers and stuff to clean the area. There was an 18-wheeler involved, and what happened is this 18-wheeler coming down the road, and this other smaller truck was doing over 100 plus, and decided to end it and turned right in front of the truck. It was about a mile long debris field, and it closed off everything. And we were cleaning. There was nothing left of the small truck. The trucker was fine. He's sitting high in the cab and stuff like that. So he got out. He was just completely rattled. They were over in the corner with him trying to get him back because he was just bawling his eyes out.
Yeah.
And we started having we had to flip the small truck over and stuff like that. So the corner, because it had burst into flames, and there's really nothing left. But the coroner had to at least recover something of the body to take back to the morgue. So we flipped it over, and he got part of the cranium out, put it in a bag, and that was enough for him. So we literally took the rest of the remains home to the impound yard. Next
That just
morning,
don't sound
after
right, man.
yeah,
No, I'm just
it
saying,
was
that just don't sound right.
yeah, it was bad too, because in the morning, we started looking at the truck and stuff like that, and it's like, wait, I know those rims, I know that truck. There was this person that used to go to breakfast every morning, and it was like a tradition, a small little town thing. Everyone in the town used to go to breakfast at McDonald's in the morning. And there was this one guy, he was about 60 years old, single, always happy, go lucky, stuff like that. But just let the demon in his head get to him, because he really didn't have any friends, didn't have anything like that, didn't have anyone in his life. And it just got to him, the demons got to his head, and he just pulled in front of the truck. It's like, holy crap, I knew this guy.
Mm.
He used to have breakfast with everyone every morning. But yeah, you could see a lot of that.
One thing to add. Whenever I told my father about me trying to commit suicide and ended up going to a mental hospital and losing my job over it, my father had told me to get over myself and told me he didn't raise a loser or a quitter.
You don't understand that sometimes you need to get the demons out of your head. It's something I know from personal experience, being told the exact same thing. You have anything, just get over it. It's just in your head. Just get over it. But that's why I think it builds up a mask so much too. Is the more you're told that you have to do this, you have to do that, and you just start building up that mask bigger and bigger and bigger. You get to a point you don't even know yourself anymore. And I think
Yeah.
a lot of people just families nowadays aren't what they used to be. I think we need to concentrate on building the family units back. Family needs to be family, and also
Yeah.
friends need to be more than just an acquaintance. Friends need to be friends. You know, the family
Yeah.
you choose. And just having
Mm.
that, because it's so one-sided now. Everything's me, 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 me. If it doesn't involve me, I don't want to know about it. Because all I'm
Exactly.
concentrated with my thing, what I'm doing. I don't care anything about what you're doing. And that is unfortunately the standard for most of society now is very self-centered. A lot of people can't put off that fact of maybe putting someone above themselves, caring for their caring for someone else as much. And that's where a
Unless
lot
there's
of people
something in it
get
for them.
exactly. And that's where
Mm.
so many people get
Well,
thrown in the corner and forgot about.
yeah.
Yeah.
The experience I had with not personally for me, but it was when I was in what we call primary school.
Mhm.
It was quite a tragic situation. It was two of my friends that I sort of grew up with. they they didn't commit suicide, but they were killed by their mother, who committed suicide after. Um, I don't know still to this day the full story, but basically, from what we were informed, we knew that the parents were separated and the mum wasn't quite coping. But it looked like it got to the stage where it was the straw that broke the camel's back. It's
Mhm.
the simplest way to explain it. That she, as I say, we still don't know the full story, and I didn't inquire because I didn't feel it was my place to. But she killed her own kids and killed herself, and I think that, from what just going on base of what I can perceive from it, is the separation, the loneliness, taking something. Maybe she felt there was going to take the kids away from her, and it's that motherly instinct that just went into complete and utter overdrive and made it irrational thoughts and things like that. As I say,
Mhm.
I'm clutching at straws in what I think happened, but
Mhm.
it's a situation that got way out of hand that could have been helped with the right kind
Easily
of help.
avoided.
Mm.
Well, the thing is, too, is like you're saying, the straw that broke the camel's back, and a lot of times that's exactly what it is. It's just a bunch of small things that add up over time to the point where it has to reach a breaking point. It's not like one major thing eventing, it's a bunch of small things that just add up. And
Mm.
all those things get to a point where you just snap.
Mm.
That's also the
Trust me,
thing.
I
It's
got
just
my
not.
own stories.
Oh, yeah.
I've got my own stories too, but
Mm.
sometimes I don't like to talk about them. But there is one story that she's actually involved in, and I'm going to put it the easiest way. I was dealing with a court case over something I'm not going to go into detail with, but I literally got that call saying I had to appear at 7:30 in the morning, and literally that night after I got off of work, we weren't together at the time. My little car hit 156 miles an hour. I was so fucking tempted to turn the wheel so fucking bad. And then she called me. It made me change my life from that point on. It literally took me half of a second to realize how fast I was going. Kept me from turning that wheel so fucking hard just because I heard my phone ringing because of her. I would not be here today and I mean this with the most sincere and loving for her, is that I would not be here today if it wasn't for her.
We talked together for 7 or 8 hours that day. I knew I had to keep him going. And I heard a change in your voice. Finally. You dumbass. But yeah.
So
But the sincerity of everything about this, it's always that one extra minute it takes to help someone. That 1 minute.
a lot of people
That 1
just
minute, that one person, that one sight.
Mhm. Just someone saying that you're cared about, you're loved. I mean, for so many people, that's all it takes. Is when everything else is falling apart in their life, all it takes is that one moment to say, "Hey, I love you. You're awesome. We'll get through this. It's not that big a deal." You know, it's small little things that add up, and a small little thing is going to be easily solved. And
Yeah.
it just takes
I
that
would
moment,
like to
that
say,
moment
though,
of caring.
I would like to say, though, to our viewers and everyone, the same as Robin Williams, Tim Carey, there is a reason we do what we do. It's because we've been at that low point to where there is nothing else, where we saw nothing but darkness. And when we came back out of it, we don't want to see anyone at that point. Whether it be family, friend, to a complete stranger, we will do whatever we can to make you happy and smile. To show you that you actually mean something.
Or ask you if you have any crayons.
Yeah.
Especially the crayons.
Honey, I love you.
You
Just shut the fuck up.
He loves crayons. He loves crayons.
You and your crayons. No,
Well,
Whether he's
thing-
drawing with them or
though,
chewing them, he loves them.
Bring him crayons next time you see him.
on a
But,
serious note,
everyone-
though,
Oh, go ahead.
there are many people out there willing to talk and listen to your problems and help you find a solution. If you know us in VR, as Toki said, you're more than welcome to come and talk to us. There's always a listening ear.
Yeah. I, on a
the
rare
thing is-
occasion, sometimes
Mhm.
get a text where it says 911, and I know immediately what to do. Up on VR chat and find the person I got the text from. Because I know once I get that text, it's serious. I have even been called into bar by Ion saying, "Hey, there's this random kid. He really needs our help. You don't know him. I don't know him, but I think we can help him."
Mhm.
And I just jumped straight
It's
into the
help.
situation, and he's one of our friends now in VR chat.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
Well, the thing is, too, especially with you reach that point, you think you can't fall any farther. It's amazing how deep that hole really is. And a lot of times, when you're so far down that hole, you can't see daylight anymore. But like one thing, being a sailor, is I always have to remember is you're always going to find yourself in a squall in life. You're going to find yourself in deep, dark waters. But the thing is, they will pass. And one thing you have to remember too is when you find yourself in that deep, dark hole and you feel that you're alone and nothing else, don't be afraid to act and dig yourself out. Because if you don't have the will, you can have the best friends around you, but you've got to fight. You've got to dig because you are better.
Yeah. You can
and
do
if
it.
you and if you are in recovery after suicide attack, please seek professional help. Contact the nearest hotline or even the hospital staff, because they will guide you the right way for getting help and help yourself. It's not the end of something, it's the beginning of a new journey.
Yeah.
Whether
it
you take
is
it
a long
alone or
journey.
with someone, yeah,
Mhm.
there will always be that little glimpse of hope out there. It's just hard to see. You can't
Sometimes all
always
they need
find
is
it,
just that one thing.
that little.
Just focus on
Yeah.
that one thing,
I have
and
been
it's
down to
enough to pull you
gutters.
out.
I've been down to gutters where every time I opened my eyes, I cried, thinking, why am I still here? I didn't have suicidal thoughts, but I had that thought of, why am I born to this life? Why am I
Mhm.
suffering like the way I am? I could not see anything. And I still have depression, and anxiety. And yes, I am on medication. I don't recommend medication to everyone. Medication is not always the solution.
No.
But for me, it was. Because I was at that breaking point where I started to think that people were saying stuff they never even said. Like, I was imagining things. I was being aggressive and demeaning. I was a whole different me. One that I didn't recognize. And I was scared to the point where I went and sought help at my local doctor's office, and he guided me to someone who had more who was specialized in this kind of area, psychiatrist, a therapist, and oh my god, those guys does an amazing job when it comes to this kind of situation. So please just reach
Even
out.
if you can't bring yourself, even if you can't bring yourself to go see a doctor or a therapist because of personal issues or reasons, being terrified of going to a doctor and talking to a stranger, you can still always talk to a friend or somebody who's been there for you through it all and has been with you to help you with everything that you are.
And don't be scared to be
One,
judged. There's
No.
always that person who can't handle it, or like in your case, your father saying, just get yourself together.
Mm,
It's not the only person in the world. There are so many other people out there
yeah.
that are willing to give you a hand.
Yeah.
So
one thing I've even discovered too with people when they fall into that dark pit is because even with some of my friends, even with unfortunately one of my virtual kids, they're in a toxic place that's forcing them in that pit, and they can't get comfortable there. They're afraid to move out of it because they're comfortable feeling that darkness, and that's when it dives in them the hardest, because they're comfortable, and a lot of times they won't accept a hand up. Like with my VR son, he's at that point right now, or was at that point, that he was comfortable being in that dark pit and didn't see anything wrong with suffering, and wouldn't take a hand up. And sometimes you need people to, if you see it happening, you need people to help you. And if you find yourself there, don't be afraid to grab a hand that's offered.
Yeah.
I know one of my VR kids are in the same exact situation, but he's gripping on to everything he can get a hold of and want to leave that home. And we're trying to help him the best way possible. But being from far away or don't have anybody near you, it's not gonna stop people from helping you. I mean, I'm on the other side of the world compared to just 3 of us here, and I'm still trying to do whatever I can, if it's just a sit down or like what I call a small session where I get them to focus on their breathing and stuff like that. That's all you need to do. Baby steps. Everything can help. So
One other
yeah.
thing too, like you were even trying to beat into my head, is try to be there with other people. And for like, especially me in my case, I do wear a huge mask, but I'm always trying to be there to help other people and stuff like that. And I don't really open up to really anyone. But when you're at that point, when you're mentoring a lot of other people and stuff like that and trying to absorb that sickness out of them, you find you absorb it yourself. And don't be afraid. Don't be me. Don't be afraid to open up and get that sickness out of you as well. Because you can find yourself on the exact same path.
And I will say, yeah, you put on a big old brave wolf mask, but I can easily read it, and he doesn't.
Yeah,
But
you
in a
can.
good way.
Poker face. Poker face.
In a good way. In a good way.
Poker face.
And I will say you have opened up to some very, very heavy stuff. And again, I appreciate it. I really do, because I also go to you if shit hits the fan or if this dumbass fucks up. Oh, wait, what?
What have I
Well,
done?
that's a nice thing.
Nothing.
That's the nice thing about being a retard, is at least my situations ain't that big.
No.
I lost my ball. Ion's got his crayons. I have my ball.
Crayon.
Nah,
Yeah,
we
we
love you
have
all
to
the
joke
same, mate.
around when everything
And I
becomes
have a
too
spanner.
serious.
It has been scientifically proven that laughter can help you on so many levels, even actual physical
Yes.
healing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Laughter is the world's best kind of medication.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
and sleep.
Yes,
And
like
sleep.
and sleep. Lots and lots of sleep.
What is
But I
sleep?
think that's where we need to be more open to other people. Sometimes just give an encouraging word to someone, giving someone a hug, letting them know that, hey, you're not alone. And don't be afraid to talk. It's okay. I mean, in our society, it's so very me and stuff like that, and no one else cares. Be better than that. Everyone needs to show. We need to go back to actually caring for other people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
World would
Any
be less
final
cold.
thoughts?
The world would be less cold if we start communicating.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's one thing that I've
Yeah.
always said for a long time is one thing I think a lot of people have forgotten nowadays is open, honest, unbiased communication. It's okay if someone else has a different view from you. It's okay. That's their view. Same as
Yeah.
you have your own. Share experience, open communication without judging. It's like, oh, well, I'm right, you're wrong. That's the way it is. And no, open
Exactly.
up, share, hear other sides, hear other points of view. Even if you don't agree with it, at least understand what makes them tick. And if you understand their viewpoints, then you can understand maybe some of how they act.
Yeah. Part of communication is listening.
Exactly.
Yep.
And don't
you can always agree to
judge.
disagree.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Don't
So
get
yeah,
stuck.
don't judge others. One of the things was open your ears more and open your mouth less.
Left.
Left fact.
It's like, Enjoy
Don't start getting
everything
tongue
while it's
tied again. You'll set me off.
La, 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 la.
Don't. I
But
like
one
to
thing,
breathe.
Okay, Weezer.
yes, I broke our Rossi.
You did.
This is
When we
why
get a
we're hanging
blooper
out
reel
these
going,
days.
you'll know what I'm talking about.
But one thing, we're actually going to have a link down below for the show's actual website and financial link. There is a few organizations that we're going to be looking into to help support, and also some of our own endeavors to help support people that we're trying to help personally. So if you would like to donate to suicide prevention and also help us with some of the people that we're helping with, in fact, your one son that we're trying to help out, we're actually trying to get him into a better situation. So if you'd like to, there will be a link down in the description below that you'll actually be able to donate to. Please leave a note in there saying that this is for suicide prevention, and we will use that money to help people in need.
And I think if we have to end on a more positive note, we are having social media now, Twitter and Instagram, and our own little social media manager has actually given you viewers a nickname now, since we always end with Ian and his potato. She has actually said that from now on, you guys are our potato chips. I hope you like it. If not, please leave a comment
Munchy,
too.
munchy, 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 munchy.
But it kind of makes sense. Actually, it makes sense.
Punchy munchies.
Mhm.
But the links will be in the description below as well. She's doing an amazing job. If you have anything you want to share on our Twitter or Instagram, please feel free to do so. If you have any good stories, any subjects, or anything, just send us a mail or comment down below or whatever you need, and we will get right on it. If you want to come on the show too and tell your story, please do so.
It can easily be arranged.
Exactly.
And if you have any ideas, things like that, please leave in the comments. Also, if you have anything that you need to just talk about, especially on today's subject, our email is there, and you can find us here in VRC. Also, join our Discord. All right. Does anyone else have any final thoughts?
Just
I think
communicate.
we've been all
Right.
there. Yes,
I
communicate.
will say, enjoy the
communicate.
day. Enjoy the
Yes.
day. Life is no race. But to quote Eleanor
That is
Roosevelt,
beautiful.
yesterday was history. Tomorrow is a mystery, but today is a gift. That's why we call it the present.
Couldn't have said it better.
True.
Well, thank you so much for joining us in this episode 6873. We definitely hope to see you next week. And if you have any comments, please like, share, subscribe. Leave the comments in the description below because we do read them. Until next week, everyone out there, have a great day.
Later,
Take care and be
guys.
safe.
Toodle in the pip.
Lots of love.
Bye-bye. Yes.
Where's my Skittles?
Potatoes.
Potatoes! It's a Frenchy fries!
You forgot something.
Oh yes, yes.
Spurts.
Potato chips.
Potato chips.
You can't eat just
Potato
one. Welcome to This Week on the 6873 show. Today we're actually going to be touching on a little bit of a and it's and through the asshole until it comes out as poop. Use toilet paper or your finger.
Yay! I'm having Amazing to see that it's not just me to have the mumble mouth. So what was it that came out of the asshole? Or was it the asshole that came out of the asshole? I didn't get that. Can you repeat?
God, Angel, save this. Save this, Angel. Save it. Send it to Nana. Send it to Nana to put it on Instagram.
Right.
Did I break Rossi?
Breathe, motherfucker, breathe.
Inhale. Exhale. Oh yeah, I'll take off.
Breathe, man, breathe.
Oh, it's gonna be that kind of day.
That was fucking hilarious.
Oh.
Assholes coming out of assholes with that. What are you saying? Or press of the asshole to the. I don't know what it was. I need to rewatch
Today's
that.
gonna
You
be
need
a
to send me that.
touchy
Just
assholes outside the assholes.
Oh, he's going again. Oh, he's wheezing.
Breathe, Rosie, breathe.
He's a
Just put this
He's
at
a
the end of it. Put this at the end. Where all of us are just practically wheezing over this.
Nah,
Oh,
this
shit.
part is send it to Nana.
Oh.
Literally, the
Yeah.
only
Yeah.
thing I heard was like you starting to talk, and I was not really paying attention. All I hear is assholes, assholes, assholes. What? Okay, from now on, the word asshole is banned.
Okay. Anna, you shoot.
Oh, hang on.
We need some milk.
I'll try not to break Rossi next time.
My air conditioning is not working well enough to.
You air conditioning, you lucky bastard.
I'm stuck.
Currently fanning myself with the dinner plate.
No.
I'm stuck. Help.
What happened?
I have a wire stuck around me. I thought it was a good idea at the time, but it's not working.
Oh, so Zelda's broken now.
No, she's stuck.
Oh, dear.
Oh no, I wonder what I was looking at. All right, out. Okay, oh, a little bit better. Okay. Oh no, never mind. Just tilt my head. Okay, you know what? Fuck it.
All right. All right.
Are you okay?
Take two.
Take
Oh,
two.
hang on.
Yeah, hold on.
Oh.
Much better.
This is what Nana needs to post on our social media. Us going just
We're talking about
Right.
suicide. Best thing ever!
But before the show.
okay. No,
Oh, Jesus.
No.
Don't
No.
keep that. Don't keep that. Don't keep that.
No, delete that. Delete that.
Shabala.
Oh, dear.
Exactly.
Yeah, rewind.
Okay, ready? Recording in 3, 2, 1.